Hi, I'm Bean. Welcome to my channel. Today you're gonna see how I built this little 3-inch quad. That's the GepRC MX3. Before I start with the build, I just want to make sure the FC is working correctly. Right now I'll begin with an overview of all the components I've used in this build. I will try a whole series of different propellers. These one to begin with are the HQ props with 3-inch pitch and 4 blades. These are the two 4S 850 mAh batteries. To connect these batteries I use this little XT30 connectors. For the drivetrain I chose those Brotherhobby T1 1407 3600 kV motors. The Runcam split mini is the part I'm most excited about. It's capable to record 1080p 60 and send the FPV feed while recording. This is just a very cheap VTX I chose, the FSD TX200. Should be good enough. For flight controller I chose to use one of those towers from HGLRC. This is basically an F4 flight controller with an integrated OSD and a 4-in-1 25 ampere ESC. The frame I used is, as said before, the GepRC MX3 Sparrow with a motor diagonal of 139mm. It's always a good idea to start with putting some tin on the ESC connectors. After soldering I prepare everything to get the stack on the quadcopter frame. The next thing to do is screwing the motors on the frame. With this screws we're holding the FC tower and the Runcam microboards. Hold the screws in place with this nylon nuts. When placing the ESC board you have to look out that the motor cables are long enough to reach every ESC pad. After cutting the motor cables to the correct length, now we have to solder it to the ESC board. Just solder the cables like you want it. We can turn the motor direction afterwards in BL Heli Suite. Next thing to do is connect all the other motor cables to the ESC pads. Take the correct length for the battery cables and solder them onto the ESC board. Place the flight controller and set up one part of the aluminium cage. Let's lay that quadcopter aside and have a look on the split mini and the VTX we're going to use for that build. The Runcam has its electronics in a stack of two 20x20mm boards. We need to pay attention to the overall stack height, so it fits in the aluminium cage. The VTX is designed to be screwed on the camera like a backpack. In this case, the holes don't match, so we need another place on the quadcopter. VTX takes anything between 5 and 17 volts, so we can solder the positive and negative cables directly to the ESC power output. We don't need this plug because the cables are directly soldered to the flight controller. Pre-tin the cables and the pads on the FC. Same procedure for the split mini. The power source for the Runcam is the video out from the VTX. Now it's time to connect the LEDs to the flight controller. All that's left to do is solder the LEDs, the receiver, and the Runcam to the flight controller. And no magic smoke. Seems like we've done a good job. Before building the cage of the frame, it's time to test all the components. I used sticky tape to get the VTX on the quad. I shortened some screws to hold the Runcam in the frame. I used CA glue to secure the antenna cover. The receiver took its place behind the stack. I was unhappy with that zip tie holding the antenna, and I thought it would be a good idea to cover the ribbon cable of the camera, so I decided to print something for that problem. I designed a little part that goes right in the slots of the aluminium cage of the frame. Next thing to do is disassemble the quad and test the print. That's a nice snug fit, and we can assemble the quad again. The last thing to do in this build is charge the batteries. that's the finished quadcopter. I hope you enjoyed that video. If so, press the like button and subscribe to my channel. But don't click away yet. I have some flight footage of the first hovering tests of this build. As mentioned before, if you liked that video, leave a comment, leave a like and subscribe to my channel.